From lecture hall to my sheets, my alien professor forbidden midnight visit. The forbidden classroom. The holographic star maps rotated slowly above the lecture hall, casting ethereal blue light across the faces of students seated in the amphitheater-style classroom. Maya Chen adjusted her neural interface headset and tried to focus on the three-dimensional representation of the Andromeda spiral, but her attention kept drifting to the figure standing at the center of the cosmic display. Professor Varian Solf moved through the hologram like a dancer through water, his tall frame cutting elegant lines through the projected starlight. His skin, smooth and faintly opalescent, seemed to absorb and reflect the colors around him, creating subtle shifts from pearl to soft amber as he gestured toward distant nebulae. Maya had heard rumors about the Lumini people, about how their bodies responded to emotion and environment, but seeing it in person left her breathless. The gravitational wells here, Varian's voice carried across the hall, melodic and precise, create pathways that ancient civilizations used for navigation. Miss Chen, what do you notice about the convergence pattern? Maya's heart stuttered. His eyes, deep violet with flecks of silver, had found hers across the room. She stood, willing her voice steady. The pattern repeats every 300 years, suggesting a cyclical cosmic event rather than random stellar drift. Something flickered across his luminescent features. Was that approval? Interest? His skin brightened almost imperceptibly. Precisely. Please see me after class. I'd like to discuss your research proposal. The hour crawled by tortuously. Maya felt hyper-aware of every moment, every time Varian's gaze swept past her section of the hall. When the other students finally filed out, whispering about weekend plans and the upcoming exam, she approached his desk with trembling hands. Your thesis on quantum navigation has caught my attention, Varian said softly, pulling up her proposal on his tablet. You theorize that consciousness itself might interact with space-time. It's unconventional, I know. It's brilliant. He looked up, and suddenly the distance between them felt charged. Walk with me. They moved through the empty corridors of Ethran Institute, their footsteps echoing off crystalline walls. Through the viewing ports, Titan's amber landscape stretched beneath Saturn's magnificent rings. I shouldn't say this, Varian stopped at an observation deck, but from the moment you entered my classroom, I felt something shift. As if the universe had rearranged itself around you. Maya's breath caught. I felt it too. He turned to face her fully, and his hand rose as if pulled by invisible threads. His fingers hovered just above her palm, not quite touching. The stars tonight, do you see that constellation? She followed his gaze through the viewport. The Lover's Bridge. In Lumini culture, when it appears, it signals a convergence. A meeting of souls. His finger finally made contact with her hand, tracing the lines across her palm. Where he touched, warmth bloomed, spreading up her arm like liquid starlight. Maya knew this was dangerous. He was her professor, and the institute had strict protocols. But as his thumb drew small circles on her wrist, mapping her pulse, she couldn't bring herself to pull away. We should be careful, she whispered. I know, Varian replied, but neither of them moved. His skin was beginning to glow brighter, colors shifting from pearl to rose gold. But I fear it might already be too late for caution. The space between them hummed with possibility, with the weight of something inevitable beginning to unfold. The midnight revelation. 3 weeks had passed since that first charged moment in the observation deck. Maya found excuses to visit Varian's office, questions about assignments, clarifications on stellar mechanics, research consultations that stretched far beyond their scheduled time. Each meeting brought them closer, conversations evolving from academic to personal, professional boundaries blurring like watercolors in rain. She learned that he took his tea with Titan honey, that he'd been at the institute for 5 years, that he sometimes dreamed in colors humans couldn't perceive. He learned that she hummed while working, that she missed Earth's ocean, that she'd applied to Ethran specifically because of his published work on consciousness and quantum fields. But they were careful. Always a desk between them. Never touching except for those brief, electric moments when passing data tablets or pointing at star charts. The restraint was exquisite torture. Tonight, Maya couldn't sleep. The quantum entanglement equations swam through her mind, refusing to resolve. She paced her small dormitory, the walls displaying a simulated view of Earth's night sky, a comfort when Titan's alien landscape felt too foreign. The knock came at 2:47 a.m. She knew before opening the door. Somehow, she knew. Varian stood in the corridor, his skin flickering with unusual patterns, deep indigo shot through with silver lightning. His usually composed expression was raw, almost frantic. "Maya, he stopped, pressing a hand against the doorframe. "I shouldn't be here. This violates every protocol, but I couldn't stay away. Something's happening." She pulled him inside quickly, glancing down the empty hallway before the door sealed shut. "What's wrong? You're glowing differently." The convergence. He turned to face her, and she saw genuine fear in his eyes. "It's not just coincidence that we feel this connection. There's been a stellar alignment, a quantum event that occurs once every 1,000 years. Maya, our consciousness, our very life energies, they've become entangled." Entangled? Like quantum particles. More than that. He reached for her hand, and the moment their skin connected, Maya gasped. She could feel him, not just physically, but deeper. His worry, his desire, his fear of what this meant. Emotions that weren't as flooded through her, mixing with her own until she couldn't tell where she ended and he began. "I can feel you," she whispered. "And you. Your confusion, your curiosity, your feelings for me." His voice dropped lower. "Maya, the Institute's council forbids this kind of bond, especially between different species, especially between faculty and students. If they discover us, I'll be dismissed. You'll be expelled. But I had to tell you. I had to warn you." "Warn me." She stepped closer, her free hand rising to his chest. Beneath her palm, she felt his heart racing, or was it hers? "Why does it feel like you came here for more than a warning?" Varian's control cracked. His hand cupped her face, thumb tracing her cheekbone. "Because I'm selfish. Because every moment away from you feels like suffocation. Because this bond, it's making it impossible to pretend I don't want you." The dormitory lights dimmed in response to the emotional charge in the room. Maya's simulated Earth sky flickered, replaced by Titan's real view, Saturn's rings casting silver shadows through her window. "Then stop pretending," she breathed. He pulled her against him, and their lips met with desperate urgency. The kiss was unlike anything Maya had experienced, not just physical, but consciousness deep. She felt his longing crash over her like waves, felt centuries of luminary restraint breaking apart. His skin grew warmer, brighter, colors cascading across his features in patterns that meant desire in his language. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Varian pressed his forehead to hers. "This is dangerous. I know. We could lose everything. I know." Maya smiled against his lips. "But I felt you before you knocked. I knew you were coming. This bond, whatever it is, it's already too late to stop." His arms tightened around her. "Then we'll face it together." They stood in the silver moonlight, wrapped in each other, the quantum thread between them pulsing with shared heartbeats and intertwined dreams, neither knowing that forces were already moving to tear them apart. Hidden desires. The abandoned observatory wing had been closed for renovations 3 years ago and forgotten. Maya had discovered it during her first week on campus, a dusty dome with a still-functioning telescope and viewing ports that overlooked Titan's methane lakes. Now it had become their sanctuary. Varian materialized from the shadows as she entered, his bioluminescence providing the only light. "I left the faculty meeting early. Couldn't stop thinking about you." Through their bond, Maya felt the truth of it, the way his awareness had been split all evening between administrative discussions and the golden thread connecting them across campus. She'd been in the library, supposedly researching, but mostly just feeling the phantom warmth of his presence in her mind. "We're getting reckless," she said, even as she walked into his arms. "I know." He buried his face in her hair. "Dean Korvax gave me a strange look today. Asked if everything was energetically balanced in my life. It's a Lumini phrase. They use it to inquire about unauthorized bonds." Maya pulled back to look at him. "What did you say?" "That my research keeps me stimulated." His mouth quirked. Not entirely a lie. She laughed, and he captured the sound with a kiss. This one was slower than their desperate first embrace, exploratory. His hands mapped her spine while hers traced the fascinating patterns of light beneath his skin. Each touch sent feedback through their bond, her pleasure amplifying his desire stoking hers, an infinite loop of sensation. "I've been researching," Maya murmured against his neck. "The entanglement. There are references in ancient texts, but they're fragmentary. Something about bridge souls and the 1,000-year union." Varian guided her toward the observation couch beneath the dome. Saturn's rings painted them in alternating bars of light and shadow. "I found the same references. Maya, I think what's happening to us, it's not an accident. It's part of something larger. A prophecy. Perhaps." He settled beside her, pulling her into his lap so she straddled him. "But right now, I don't want to think about prophecies or consequences. I just want you." His honesty, raw through their connection, made her bold. Maya's hands found the fastenings of his tunic. "Then have me." They undressed each other slowly, reverently, learning the landscape of each other's bodies. Varian's skin rippled with color, deep purples of passion, bright golds of joy, silvery whites of wonder. Maya watched, mesmerized, as her touch painted him like a living canvas. When he laid her back against the cushions, the stars wheeling overhead through the dome's transparent ceiling, Maya felt the bond between them intensify. This wasn't just physical, it was consciousness merging, two souls learning to dance as one. "Are you certain?" Varian asked, poised above her, his control barely held. In answer, Maya pulled him down, and as their bodies joined, the bond exploded into something transcendent. She felt everything, his awe at her beauty, his fear of losing her, his love that he hadn't yet spoken aloud but that poured through their connection like liquid gold. And he felt her courage, her determination, her absolute certainty that whatever came next, they would face it together. They moved together under the alien stars, their shared pleasure building through the quantum link until neither could tell where sensation originated. When release finally came, it crashed through both of them simultaneously, their consciousness so intertwined that for one perfect moment, they were truly one being. Afterward, they lay tangled together, Varian's skin gradually settling back to soft pearl tones, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on Maya's shoulder. "I love you," he whispered. "I should have said it before." Maya smiled, pressing a kiss to his chest. "I know. I felt it. The bond has advantages. She was already drowsy, safe in his arms, Saturn's light blessing them through the glass. "What happens now?" "Now," Varian pulled a blanket over them both, "we figure out how to keep this secret long enough to understand what we're part of. Because Maya, I'm beginning to suspect our connection might be more important than either of us realized." She drifted to sleep feeling his heartbeat against her cheek, their dreams already beginning to merge, unaware that across campus, sensors were detecting unusual quantum fluctuations, and Dean Korvax was beginning to ask very dangerous questions. The discovery. Maya woke to urgent knocking. Varian had left before dawn, as always, their parting kiss still warm on her lips. She stumbled to the door, expecting a delivery drone, but found her roommate and closest friend, Jade Okonkwo, standing in the corridor with arms crossed. "We need to talk," Jade said, pushing past her into the room. "And don't even think about lying to me." Maya's stomach dropped. "Jade, You've been disappearing every night for 2 weeks. You come back with this dreamy expression, and yesterday I saw you leaving the old observatory wing. Maya, what's going on? Are you in trouble?" The concern in her friend's voice made Maya's resolve crumble. She sank onto her bed, head in hands. "I can't tell you. It's too dangerous." Jade sat beside her, voice softening. "Is it Professor Solf?" Maya's head snapped up. "How did you?" "Girl, everyone sees how you two look at each other. The whole class has been gossiping about the tension. But Maya, his faculty. You could both be expelled if anyone reports it. It's more complicated than that." Maya hesitated, then decided her friend deserved some truth. Something happened during the stellar convergence. "We're connected. I can't explain it better than that. Jade's eyes widened. Connected? You mean like the old stories? The bonded pairs? Before Maya could respond, her neural interface chimed with an emergency alert. Varian's message came through their private channel, his mental voice laced with panic. Don't come to class. Korvax knows something. Stay away from me until I contact you. Through their bond, she felt his fear, not for himself, but for her. Jade watched her face change. Maya. What's wrong? I have to go. Maya was already pulling on her clothes. Jade, please, just trust me. Don't tell anyone what you suspect. I won't. But be careful. Jade caught her arm. Whatever this is, it's bigger than campus gossip, isn't it? Maya met her friend's eyes and nodded. Then she was out the door, heading not toward Varian's classroom but toward the archives. If they were in danger, she needed to understand what they were dealing with. The Institute's historical archives occupied 3 subterranean levels beneath the main campus. Maya had clearance for her research, but she'd never ventured this deep before. The air grew cooler as she descended, the walls transitioning from modern crystal to ancient stone. The Lumini librarian, an elderly scholar named Theron, regarded her with knowing eyes. You seek information about the bonded pairs. It wasn't a question. Maya swallowed. How did you know? Because you carry the quantum signature. I can see it in your aura, gold threads connecting you to someone not present. The convergence chose you. Theron beckoned her deeper into the archives.
Come?
What you need to know cannot be found in the public databases. They moved through rows of crystalline data storage until reaching a sealed chamber. Theron placed his hand on the lock, which glowed in response. Inside, holographic texts floated in preservation fields, documents thousands of years old. Every millennium, the stars align in a pattern that creates a quantum bridge between 2 souls. Always different species. Always seemingly impossible. The ancient Lumini called them the Weavers, pairs who could heal the rifts between our peoples. Theron activated a projection showing 2 figures surrounded by intertwining light. But the ruling powers have always feared them. Unity threatens those who profit from division. Maya stared at the ancient text. What happened to the other pairs? Some were separated by force. Others chose exile. A few. Theron's expression grew sad, were martyred for their refusal to break their bonds. But one pair succeeded. They changed the course of galactic history, bringing 3 warring species together in lasting peace. How? By proving their bond made them stronger. By showing that love between species wasn't weakness, but evolution. He turned to face her fully. Dean Korvax detected the quantum fluctuations yesterday. She's already petitioned the Council for authorization to perform a bond severance. It's a painful procedure. It would tear apart everything you and Professor Solf share. Horror flooded through Maya. Through their connection, she felt Varian's similar distress. He'd just learned the same information. There has to be another way, Maya whispered. There is. Theron pulled up another document. The ancient protocols allow bonded pairs to petition the Galactic Council directly, bypassing local authority. But you would need to present your case in person, on the council station. And you would need proof that your bond serves a greater purpose. Maya's mind raced. The convergence pattern. My research on consciousness affecting spacetime. What if our bond isn't just personal? What if it's the key to understanding quantum navigation itself? Then you would need to prove it. Quickly. Theron pressed a data crystal into her palm. This contains everything I've collected. But child, understand, the Council hasn't approved a bonded pair petition in 300 years. The odds don't matter. Maya closed her fist around the crystal. Thank you, Theron. She ran back through the archives, reaching out through the bond. Varian, I found something. Meet me at the observatory. We're going to fight this. His response came back fierce and determined. Together. But as Maya emerged into the pale Titan daylight, she saw security drones converging on the faculty building. Dean Korvax had moved faster than they'd anticipated. The choice was no longer theirs. They would either run, or be separated forever. The choice. The transport shuttle vibrated beneath them as they hurtled through space toward the Galactic Council station. Varian held Maya's hand tightly, their bond pulsing with shared anxiety and determination. They'd fled Ethran Institute with only hours to spare, Jade covering their escape by creating a false trail. "There's still time to turn back," Varian said quietly. "If we return now, accept the severance, you could finish your degree. Have the life you planned." Maya squeezed his fingers. "Without you, that life means nothing. We're seeing this through." Through the viewport, the council station grew larger, a massive ring structure that housed representatives from 43 species. Somewhere on that station, their fate would be decided. The hearing chamber was intimidating, circular tiers rising toward a domed ceiling that displayed real-time images of the cosmos. Counselors of various species occupied the seats, their attention focused on the two figures standing in the center of the floor. Dean Korvax was already present, her expression severe. "Honored Council, these two have violated fundamental protocols. Their unauthorized bond threatens the integrity of our educational institutions and crosses species boundaries in ways that set dangerous precedents." Dangerous. Maya found her voice, stronger than she expected. Or threatening to those who profit from keeping species separate and suspicious of one another. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The head counselor, a being of crystalline structure whose species Maya didn't recognize, raised a hand for silence. "You claim your bond serves a greater purpose. Explain." Varian stepped forward, activating the holographic display they'd prepared. "The quantum entanglement between us isn't random. It occurs during stellar convergences that happen once per millennium. Every documented case has involved individuals whose combined work advanced interspecies understanding. Our research," Maya continued, pulling up her data, "shows that consciousness itself interacts with space-time in measurable ways. But human consciousness alone, or Lumini consciousness alone, can only access certain frequencies. Together, through our bond, we've detected quantum pathways that neither species has ever perceived independently." She activated their shared findings, beautiful, complex patterns of data that had emerged only when she and Varian worked in tandem through their connection. This could revolutionize space travel, communication, even energy production. But only if bonded pairs are allowed to exist and research together. The council chamber erupted in debate. Dean Korvax argued for tradition, for safety, for the preservation of boundaries. But others, particularly representatives from species that had benefited from cross-cultural collaboration, argued for exploration, for evolution, for taking the risk. Hours passed in testimony and deliberation. Maya felt her energy flagging, but through the bond, Varian's strength flowed into her, just as hers bolstered him. They stood together, fingers intertwined, presenting a united front. Finally, the head counselor called for order. This council recognizes that the bond between Maya Chen and Varian Solth is genuine and appears to serve purposes beyond personal desire. However, precedent is clear. Such bonds have historically led to complications that. With respect, a new voice interrupted. An elderly Lumini counselor rose from her seat. "I am Counselor Ethra. 300 years ago, I was part of the last bonded pair to petition this council. We were denied. Our bond was severed." Her voice carried the weight of ancient grief. "I have spent 3 centuries regretting that decision. The research we might have completed together, the bridges we might have built between our peoples, all lost because this council chose fear over possibility." She turned to face Maya and Varian directly. "I will not watch history repeat itself. I motion to grant these two a conditional approval, 1 year to prove their bond produces results beneficial to the galactic community. If successful, they will be recognized as official ambassadors of interspecies unity." The vote was close, 23 to 20, but the motion passed. Maya's legs nearly buckled with relief. Varian caught her, pulling her against him as the chamber dissolved into discussion around them. Through their bond, joy and gratitude and love flowed freely. "We did it," she whispered. "No," he pressed his forehead to hers, his skin glowing brilliant gold. "We're just beginning." They left the council station with provisional approval documents and 1 year to change the galaxy's mind about bonded pairs. The task ahead was daunting, proving their research, navigating political resistance, building a life together across species lines. But as their shuttle headed toward a research station that had agreed to host them, Maya felt only certainty. Through the viewport, she watched twin stars in binary orbit, forever linked, forever dancing together. A year to save the world, Varian mused, wrapping his arms around her from behind. No pressure. Maya laughed, leaning into his warmth. We've already survived the impossible. What's one more miracle? Their bond hummed between them, a quantum thread connecting two hearts, two minds, two souls who had found each other across the vast darkness of space. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as they had faced everything. Together, intertwined, proving that love was the strongest force in the universe. Outside, the stars wheeled on in their eternal dance, and somewhere in their cosmic pattern, the next convergence was already beginning, waiting to bring together two more souls brave enough to bridge the impossible distance between different worlds. The end.